Hi guys, and welcome to the first screencast of the Totalwireframe guide series. First of all, thanks a lot for buying this guide. I really appreciate it, and I hope it will help you use Axure in a better way. In this first chapter, we'll learn the basic of Axure by recreating the homepage of Dribble.com, which is an awesome website to seek inspiration from the best designers in the world. First of all, let's take a look at how Axure works and what exactly it looks like. You can notice that it's pretty basic. You know, the first screen you see is pretty basic. On the left, you have all the stuff to deal with pages here, widgets there, and the notion of masters. Here, we'll get through the masters in a while, but for now, let's focus on the basics. Here you have all the possibilities for noting stuff, like if you want to put some notes on your wireframe, if you want to add interaction with loading variables, or here if you want to apply some formatting to the wireframe, and especially when you generate the prototype of this wireframe. On the right side here we have the widget properties panel, which is extremely useful, and we will use it a lot. You will see that. Here you have the dynamic panel manager, which has been introduced in the Axure version 6. I don't use it a lot, to be honest. I think it's a matter of personal preferences. My preference is not to use it, basically. So that's it for now. As I said in the introduction of this video, we will try to recreate the homepage of Dribble. Dribble is basically this website. This is the homepage of Dribble.com. What we have here on Dribble.com is the header here with a small interaction with this menu there. We have the sign-in box that we will perhaps go through if we have the time. We'll have a right column. We have a center content zone here. You can see that there is a pretty nice visual effect when you mouse over a thumbnail. Here a text appears. We'll try to recreate that in Axure, and you'll see that it's not very complicated to do so. Moreover, we'll see that if you create one component in your wireframe for that, basically you can try to copy and paste your work here for all the other boxes. It's going to be much more easier. Here we have the pagination, and here we have the footer. So that's it. We'll try to do that now in Axure. In the tutorial, we will have to recreate the homepage of Dribble. So to do that, we have to know exactly what are the different dimensions of each component of the Dribble.com homepage. To know that, we'll use a tool called Developer Tool in Safari. You also have that in Chrome, by the way, in Google Chrome. You can have the same functionality in Firefox using the add-on called Firebug. You have everything in the documentation of this tutorial. So to activate the developer mode in Safari, you have to go to the preferences of Safari. Then in the advanced tab, you have an option here called develop menu in the menu bar. So you need to click on it and to activate that. Once it's activated, you can right click on your home page and select inspect element. That will load a panel here that you can actually stick to the footer of your Safari by clicking on that icon, and you can minimize the window too. It's a little bit tricky to do it, but well, it works. And now you have to click here, and by clicking here you can actually mouse over any element of the page, and it will highlight it in a blue rectangle. You can see that next to the blue rectangle there are the dimensions of each element that you select, basically, with the CSS class that is attributed to that element. So if you want, for instance, to know the dimension of the header, you just have to go to the header here, and now you know that the header has a width of 940 pixels and a height of 59 pixels. It's as simple as that. If you want to know, for instance, the size used for that typography here, you have to mouse over it, then to click on it, and you go to compute it style here, and you can see here there is a font size of 16 pixels. And you can know everything that is on the web page by doing that. Like what is the color used, what is the font size, what are the margin applied to that element, and so on. It's very useful, and we'll use that a lot in this first tutorial. It's now time to create the header of dribble.com. So we know that the header of Dribble has a width of 940 pixels wide and an height of 59 pixels. So we drag and drop a rectangle on the wireframe, and we put it the right width and height. To do that, you can either use the mouse by selecting a corner of the rectangle and trying to adjust to the height that you are looking for, but it's not very convenient. The best is actually, when you know the dimension that you want to have, is to use the widget property panel on the right side of the screen. So you type 940 pixels here, and you hit tab, and you put the height that you are looking for, and this is it. Now you know that the rectangle has the exact width and height that you are looking for. Once it's done, and because it's gonna be the header of your wireframe, you can put your header at the top upper left corner of the canvas. Here you now have the header. We'll try to add a logo to your wireframe by using a placeholder. Basically, it's a convention to add an image as a placeholder in a wireframe, because you don't really want to have a graphics elements in your wireframe, because basically the wireframes are meant to be given to designers, and if you put too much inspiration in your wireframe, you will actually probably give some ideas and some guidelines to your designer, and he won't be as creative as if he just sees this kind of images in your wireframe. So it's up to you, of course, but I strongly suggest not to use images on your wireframe. Then let's place the logo. Here we've placed the logos, and we'll now place the menu here. We have 5 items of the menu. For now, we'll just use, we won't do this kind of display mechanism with the drop-down menu that appears when you mouse over it. So we are going to add the text panel here. We'll do that, and we place it where you want it to appear. So shots. I copy and paste it. So what I did was to press Apple C then Apple V to actually copy and paste the text. So I write players here, and when I'm finished editing it, I just press escape, and that's it. Then explore, Apple C Apple V, jobs, Apple C Apple V, about. Then I'm going to align them up. So it's not really well aligned, and it's not well done. So to align elements, Axure give you 2 tools that are very efficient and that I use all the time. It's called the distribute and the align tools. If you click here, you notice that it's distributed vertically, and you can also make sure that they are all aligned here that way. So basically, if I was doing that, I select them all, and if I click on align top, boop, everything is aligned on the top. It's as simple as that. We leave that for now, because we don't want to add any more colors or weight to the typography here or anything like that. We will use the very basic style that is provided at first by Axure, and then we'll add some styling to it. And on the right side of the screen, we know that there is a search box here, a button saying go, and a sign-in tool. So I click on text panel, I had it here. Oh, we also have have guides to help you. It's like a bit like Photoshop, for instance. You can add as many guides as you want, just to make sure that everything is properly aligned. This is another way to make sure that that everything is properly aligned. Then here we are going to place the input box, sorry, and we know that it's exactly 186 pixels wide. So I put a text field. It's 100 and sorry, I just forgotten. 186 and 14. Okay, so I'm going to make it bigger, because otherwise it's gonna look very bad. And I can place a button saying go. Okay. It's pretty dry right now, but don't worry, we are going to make it better. So you can move on the left, and we'll try to add the content now. By the way, if you want to use the mouse to go through your wireframe, you can use the sliders there, but it's not convenient at all. What I strongly suggest you is to press the space bar, and as soon as you press the space bar, you can see the cursor here that moves from a pointer to a hand, and once it's pressed, you simply have to left click and to navigate on your wireframe by with your mouse. It's so much easier that way, you know. It goes faster basically. The header is nearly done. We just have to add these sentences here, those sentences, sorry. So let's do that. Here I have the text. I put it there just underneath the header and the logos. For instance, let's put it there. And I know that, for instance, this part of the sentence here is 16 pixels. So let's put it. It's in bold also. And here it's 14 pixels. So here, nice. Now it's much better. I'm going to give you a very good tip to move things around in Axure. Basically, if you want to move an element of your wireframe, you have to select it first, of course, and then you can use your mouse to place it wherever you want. But perhaps sometimes it's not very precise, because every time you actually move it, it moves the box from 8 to 10 pixels, so it's not very precise. What you can do to avoid that is to actually click on your element and then use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move the element. So if you click on the down key here, it will move the text panel from 1 pixels to 1 pixels. If you click on shift then the arrow key, it will move it from 10 to 10 pixels. So it's movable quicker. And that way you can be very precise in the location of your component. Now that this sentence has been placed, we will add the small ad that is actually located just below the search box. This is the box that I'm talking about. So to do that, you add a rectangle here. We're also going to look for the dimensions of this box. Okay, the box is actually is actually 220 pixels wide and 39 pixels high. So let's write it down here. Here we have our box. We place it just well. You notice that there is actually, well, the box is actually rounded. So how to make that in Axure? It's pretty easy to do it. You select the rectangle, then you right click on it, and you select a new button shape called rounded rectangle. Once you click on it, there is a small the small yellow arrow that appears here on the top left corner of the box. If we zoom into the wireframe by using this menu here, for instance, here, or by using Apple and the plus sign. Here you can zoom a lot, basically. If you use the cursor to move the yellow triangle, you notice that the roundness of the border changes accordingly. So what we want is to have this kind of roundness. For instance, let's zoom out. You can zoom out by using that, or you can zoom out by using Apple and the minus and the minus sign. Okay, let's put it at 100%. And we'll now have this text. Let's just move forward and do it. Now that we have the text, we'll try to center the text into the box. So you have two methods to do it. The first one is to do it visually. So here you can try to put the text and make it so it's centered. But I don't really like that way of doing things. I really prefer to actually do that. So basically you make it so the box has the exact same width as the text panel, and once it's done you just center the text, and so poof, you know that the text is centered into the box. And we can do that with the interface designer text also, and here you center it and now it's centered. So you now have a box that is perfectly centered with the text in it. Let's now add some styling to that box. So we know that this should be 11 pixels high and that this should be in bold. So you can either use that or use the Apple B key that is commonly used in every word processor. You can now align that a little bit better, and you could add a border color to that box and a background color too. So to add a background color, you just click here on the small arrow here, and you have two options. Either you select one of these colors here, or if you know the colors that you want to put in it, you just write it down here. So we know that the box should be F1, F1, F1. This is the hexadecimal color, and we want to have a specific border color of C. Oh, sorry, C. And you press return. And here we have now the exact same color as the box there. So it looks pretty amazing. You can also go there and center that so it's aligned. Okay, let's align it a little bit. Okay, now it's aligned. It's perfectly aligned with one another. Don't forget to save your work from time to time, because Axure doesn't have an auto backup, an auto save feature, so it's very important if you don't want to lose your work by pressing Apple and S, for instance. Or you can also use the menu file, save your document. Very, very important. Now that we have finished the footer, we'll try to concentrate on building the center of the page. Basically that I'm going to show you now. So we will draw that here, all that section there. But because this is very boring to do, this kind of menu, I'm just going to fast forward it by doing so. Now that we have the menu, we'll concentrate on doing the thumbnails part. As you can see, there is a visual effect that appears when you mouse over the thumbnail. Basically, we'll try to do it with Axure. And as you can see, it's not very feasible to actually put a rectangle there and try to apply a transition into that rectangle, sorry. It's not going to be very efficient. This is why we are going to introduce now the component called here dynamic panel. The dynamic panel will allow you to have the same object with different kind of states, basically. So we'll have these states, which we will call an active, and when you mouse over it, it's gonna be called active. So what happens is the thumbnail fades when you actually mouse over it, a text appears, and also for the name of the guy here, there is a pro badges that appear. So we'll try to do that in Axure. That thumbnail is 220 pixels wide and 191 pixel height. So let's put first a rectangle with those dimensions. So here we have our main container, and now we'll try to add the thumbnail here. So remember that a thumbnail is always a placeholder in Axure, because we don't want to put a real picture in it. So the thumbnail is going to have a dimension of precisely 200 pixels and 150 pixels. So here we are. Now we'll also add the details of the thumbnails by adding the number of views, the number of comments, and the number of likes. So I'm going to enter that 1606. I'm also going to reduce the size a little bit. Not one, it's going to be very hard to look at. Okay, so I put 11. The number of view 65, and the number of likes also. You don't have to be very precise when you enter the data, but basically what I'm trying to achieve when I do wireframe is to put real data in it, so it appears more true. Because if you actually put lorem ipsum in your wireframe, okay, you will have a lot of content, as lorem ipsum strings are very long, but it's also not real. Most of the clients will actually say, oh, what is it written in German? Of course it's not German, but they think it's German most of the time, and they will also don't understand exactly what's going to be in that specific part of the screen. So if you put real data instead, or data written in right English, it's going to be much more true to what the final product will actually look like. Now we will also add the small icons. Remember, I don't want to put any kind of visual indication to the designer other than placeholders. Okay, here we go. And finally we'll add the name of the guy. So imagine the guy is called Simon, and the thumbnail too, which are going to have a dimension of 15 by 15 pixels. And I'm going to place that. Okay. And I think it's in bold. Let's put that in bold. Okay, so now we have a thumbnail. But the real tricky part is to add this kind of effect there. So this is where the dynamic panels come in place. So you drag and drop the dynamic panel there, and you put it above the form that you want to have the effect on. So basically this is it. What I'm trying to do is to put the dynamic panel always a little bit bigger than the actual size of the component, because otherwise if you put exactly like that, for instance, sometimes there is a conflict between the border of this here and the border of there. So basically if you put the exact same dimension there, sometimes in some cases and in some browsers you won't see the right border. So this is why I'm trying to put a dynamic panel that is a bit bigger than the actual form. So here is the dynamic panel. If you double click on it, you have the possibility to add a label to it. So for documentation purposes, what I'm doing is I'm actually naming all my components by putting the first two letters of each word as the title. So a dynamic panel will be DP, and I put the name, so it's DP thumbnail. And here you can add as many states as you want for that dynamic panel. Remember, we have two. We have when it's inactive and when it's active. So, oh, sorry. you have to click 2 times on the name and wait like 1 second for the next click. So inactive, and you add another one called active. When that's done, you click here, and as you can see, it has opened 2 tabs at the top of the screen. So one for inactive and one for active. What we're going to do now is to take everything here, cut and paste this state to the inactive tab. So for cut and paste, either you go to edit menu and cut, or you can also use the Apple X command and Apple V to paste that. So here we need to put your component exactly in the upper left corner of the page, because here you can see the blue dotted line here. That represents the actual size of your dynamic panel. So if I actually put a bigger dimension for that dynamic panel, here you can see that the blue line is bigger actually. So, but we don't want to do that. We want to have a dynamic panel that is nearly exactly as big as the component. Okay, so here we have that state, and let's copy it again and paste it again. But the difference between inactive and active is when you actually mouse over the component, the thumbnail fades, and here you have some basic information on the thumbnail. So let's go to active, and let's actually put the information of the thumbnails. Okay, so this is going to be the title, and I think it's a size of 16, and it's in bold. Okay, this is the description here, and we also going to put the date. Oh, I made a mistake. Let's put that in bold, and let's put in the lower left corner. We are also going to add a pro badge just right below beneath the name of the author. I'm going to have it as a rounded rectangle. Let's zoom that a little bit just to make sure that we have the right stuff. Okay, so you could also play with the where is it? Oh, here, with this side menu there to instead of here. I don't know, sometimes it's just a matter of personal preference. Okay, here it's still a little bit bigger, I think. It's too big. Okay, let's put a size of 10. Then let's put up a back color, and this is actually in white. Okay, so let's move that to a size of 100%. Oh, sorry. Okay, so here we have this inactive state, and this is when it becomes active. What we can also do, no, well, we're going to wait, and we're going for the first time to generate the prototype. So let's click on prototype there. We generate it. It doesn't exist, so you click on yes, and now you have your prototype there. So what we have is what we have constructed so far, but you can see there is the dynamic panel there, but when you actually mouse over it, well, nothing happens. That's normal, don't worry, we are going to cover that right now. Let's go to Axure to actually do that. In Axure, you go to the inactive tab, and you click on the direction panel in the right side of your screen. Here are going to be listed all the interactions you can do with the component that is selected here in your canvas. So you can either have the effect of mouse enter. For instance, when you mouse enter this zone, something will happen. But you could also apply this effect to all that section. To do that, we are going to use the image map region component. So you put the image map region there. Oh, sorry. You make it as big as the dynamic panel, and you apply the mouse enter effect on that image map region widget. So double click here. On that panel, you can see that you have all the actions you can do for that specific widget. So you click on set panel state to state. So which panel would you like to select? It's the DP thumbnail here, and what you want to achieve is to actually when you mouse enter this widget, you will go to the active state for that dynamic panel there. So let's click on OK. It's as easy as that. And now let's watch the prototype. I'm generating it. So what we have now is if I mouse enter it, oh, it changes. That worked. But now if I mouse out, oh, nothing happens. Let's correct that. So I'm going to the active tab, and I do exactly the same. I put the image map region, and this time I'm going to use the on mouse out event. I still select the set panel state to state, this state, and I want to choose the inactive tab. Let's click on OK. Let's generate that prototype again. Okay, it's generated again. So you mouse enter and you mouse out, and it's working now. Yoo-hoo! You've done your first dynamic panel. But we can enhance that a little bit. Let's just do that now. So what I wanted to do, you know, on the real side, when you actually mouse over, the image fades. There is a transition effect that applies, and it lasts nearly 1 second. You know that it fades out and fades in. We are going to do that now, and we are also going to add a special effect that will blur the image behind. But for that, unfortunately, we will have to actually just move out the image map region widget just for a little bit. And here we are going to add a small rectangle which has the exact dimension of your component there. Here we go. And then you are going to use the backward stuff. Now it's backward, and you are going to add some transparency to it as well as a color. Let's do that. Yeah, sort of. No, it's not transparent enough. Okay, so it's a little bit better that way. And now I'm going to put back this component. Here we go. Let's add some transition effect now. So you select that state here. So remember, it's the action to actually go from one state to another. You click here, and we are going to animate it a little bit. We are going to make it so it's nearly 1 second to fade in the current state. And here we're going to fade out, fade out. Okay, let's generate it now. And does that work? I don't know, we'll try. Oh, it's working, but it's a little bit slow. Let's just change the length of the effect. Okay, so 800 milliseconds is way too fast. Too slow, sorry. Let's put that. And in the inactive tab, it's also too slow. We generate the prototype again. But as you can see, there is a flickering here. I don't like that effect at all. To change that effect, you go on the inactive tab here, and you actually select, instead of animating in the effect, you animate out the same effect with the fade here and 300 milliseconds. Let's try that. Okay. Oh, it's working exactly as we want it now. The next step now is to duplicate that thumbnail in order to fill the page with the 14 remaining thumbnails, like you have on the Dribble homepage. We could duplicate this dynamic panel by copying it and pasting it 14 times, like that. You see? Okay, that is a possibility. But what if you need to modify the original dynamic panel for some reasons? In that case, that means going through the same 15 dynamic panels and modify them one by one. That'd be pretty boring and time wasting. Fortunately, in Axure you have the masters for that. Masters are a way to do the work only once and then copying and pasting it. If you put the dynamic panel that contains the thumbnail in the master, you can paste as many copies of this master on any page you want. If you ever need to modify the masters, all the copies of the masters will be instantly changed. That is really useful. So let's create our first master. Masters are located in your lower left corner of the Axure interface. Click on that icon to create a new master, and then double click on it to open the master. You could also rename it by right clicking on it and clicking on rename. And let's write a very descriptive name here, because usually when you create wireframes you end up with a lot of different masters, and it's going to be so much easier if you put a real name here to describe what is the master. Then you simply go to the master and you cut it and you paste it, and here you have your first master. You could also put the master in your upper left corner here, so it's better that way. So go back to your home. There is no dynamic panel anymore, but if you actually take that thumbnail here and pasting it here, well, you have the exact same dynamic panel. Let's do that. Let's generate the prototype, and here you have the exact same as before. So now you can actually copy that master multiple times to make sure that your homepage will contain 15 different dynamic panels. Let's generate the prototype to see how that goes now. And oh, that's great. We have something cool now. Okay, as you can see, Axure is not very good at handling the mouse enter effect when you go really fast like that. You know, but hey, what can you do? It's life, right? So now that we have everything here, we'll try to build the right column there. So again, it's going to use a lot of dynamic panels and masters, especially for the components that repeat themselves, such as the projects there and the rookies also here. And I just remind myself that I actually made mistakes, and those should not be text but actually links in the wireframe. So let's change that for links instead, because that way we'll be able to style all the links at once at the end of this tutorial. So to change a link, now I go back to the master here by double clicking on it either on the page there or double click here on the master. I enter into the inactive state here, and I will just select the text there and to put an hyperlink instead. So here we go. Don't worry about the styling of this link for now. So I copy it. Why you don't have to worry about it? It's because we'll do that later. And you go back to the thumbnail and select the active state there, and you do the same. So you delete that and you paste the link you've just copied, and here we go. We'll do the same for all those three. So everyone debuts and play off. Up. Don't worry if it's not well aligned and stuff, we don't care. So you select the three and you distribute at the bottom so it's exactly aligned, and you distribute it vertically, and you change that just a little bit. So now we have links instead of having a simple text. The next part will be to actually create the popular tag section and the browse by color section. But because I'm pretty lazy and you are actually watching a video, and sometimes magic happens in videos, I'm just going to paste those two sections. Why? Because I think it's pretty easy to actually recreate those components there. So I prefer to focus on the most complicated part rather than doing some pretty boring stuff for you guys. Focus now on creating the project section there. Like the thumbnails here, we will actually create masters for that, because we'll do the master once and then we'll duplicate it 3 times to make things much more easier. So let's do that. I'm going to create the projects section here, and I'm going to add the main container. I'm going to zoom because like that is going to be so much easier. It's 70 by 68. I'm also going to create right now the stacks here. You see like 3 stacks of sheet of paper that are here displayed. So I'm going to duplicate that rectangle and to make it a little bit smaller, and then again duplicate and making it a little bit smaller. So like that, we now have the stacks. We are going to add the central image. The image is actually 60 by 45 here. So now it's centered. And we'll add the text just here. 3 shots. Updated 5 minutes ago. You know that this is smaller, so let's put it smaller. This is a bit bigger, and here we go. Then you select everything, you actually cut it, and you create a new master called project item. Double click on it and paste your selection. Then you put it right in the upper left corner. You go back to your main wireframe, and you actually cut and paste, copy and paste, sorry, the master into your wireframe. And we'll add just a little separator here that we will copy and paste. Let's just generate the prototype to see if everything goes well and is pretty. here. Okay, we have it now. As you can see, the line is very dark, so we are just going to modify that a little bit, otherwise it looks very ugly. Okay, let's generate the prototype again. Now it looks much better. So as you can see, it looks a little bit like the original, right? Let's do that for rookies now. So rookies is exactly the same. We duplicate, oh sorry, we duplicate the title. I move it, rookies, and I'm going to create the rookie item. So here I create a box of 32 pixels by 32 pixels, and the actual photos in it is, well, the avatar basically is 28 by 28. So here we go. Wow, it's not big enough, so small enough, sorry. So okay, so this is much better now. So you put the name of the rookie here. Let's call it John Doe. And we know that he has 2 shots and 6 followers. We put it here, and we're also going to reduce the size of this widget of here. Here we go. Now that we have it, we cut it and we create the rookie item. Double click on it, you paste it, and then you put that in your upper left corner again. You can do that very quickly by putting like 5 here in the left and top section, and now it's going to be here in your left top section. And now you duplicate it a lot of time. You also have to make sure that your masters are distributed well vertically. So you click on the distribute here and you distribute vertically, so now you are sure that the spacing between them is exactly the same vertically. Let's just generate the prototype again to validate that what we've done is great. Okay, so it looks very good. We'll also add some separators to it. We have now nearly finished the wireframe. Let's generate the prototype one more time to see how things are going. So we've done nearly everything. We just need now to add the footer of the application. But basically what I'm trying to do is going to cut and paste the footer, because you know it's not very interesting to actually look at me putting elements like text elements on the page and links elements on that page. So here we go. It hasn't pasted. We now have a complete footer. Let's verify that. Okay, we have the footer. Now that we have a nearly perfect version of the Dribble homepage, we can focus on something we rarely do at the wireframing stage. We'll add some colors. As I already explained, as UX gurus or information architects, you should keep the wireframe as visually clean as possible without adding any colors, styles, shapes of any kind. Why? Because it's not your job. We are here to provide a skeleton. Art directors or web designers will take care of adding flesh to that skeleton. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, which is mastering Axure, I might remind you, we will try to have a wireframe that has the exact same look as the original. So we'll begin to style the header. To style it, we'll add some colors, some background colors to it, like the one that is on the Axure website. Here we go. We'll add some colors to those items there. be FC3. Here we go. And we'll actually, here you can see there is a border around the menu item. So let's create the border here. I'm going to put it just above. Let's zoom that a little bit. I'm going to put it backward. Okay, to put it back and to do it forward. Okay, I'm going to put it as a background, as this shape, a rounded rectangle. So this is actually white and bold, but you can't see anything because this is white also. So I'm going to remove the borders there, and I'm going to add, for instance, here the same color. Okay, but perhaps a darker color. Okay, so how does that look? It's pretty cool. I'm also going to style the text box here. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there is actually a small border here on the text area that I don't really want. So to actually remove that border, you right click on it and you do toggle border. So that will remove completely the border of that element. And now we can style the strings also here. Here we go. It's better that way. And the go button, well, we can let this button like that. It's not going to be a major difference in the final wireframe. Here we go. We now have a fully styled header. We now add the style to the background of the wireframe, like here. You can see here that even though we have a texture here on the background of dribble.com, we'll actually take that color here and add it to the background of the wireframe. So to do that, you actually go to the page formatting section of the Axure UI, and you can put a back color here of, let's say, F0, F0, F0. Here we go. So now you have a perfect background color. Let's check that with the prototype. We generate it again, and as you can see now, it looks pretty like Axure, like dribble.com. Let's continue our styling. We have nearly finished the wireframe, but we still need to style all the links that appears in the wireframe. As you can see in Dribble, the links have this kind of colors there. So we have two different kinds of methods to actually do that. You can either go to every single links and modify those styling by using those items there, or here, this panel there. But you could also use what Axure called the widget style editor, located here. So by using the widget style editor, you can apply to a widget default there listed here all the stylings that you want, and as soon as you modify, for instance, the hyperlink here, it will be modified on your wireframe, on every single hyperlink that appears on your wireframe. So as you can see, it's pretty powerful. So let's do that. We know that the links are in bold and that they have a color, a font color of 4083.9. Okay, so if you click on OK now, you can see that all the links have been changed. You can generate the prototype just to make sure that this is what you wanted, and as you can see now, all the links have the same color. It's really powerful, and you can achieve pretty good results with that. You can also specify a specific class for each link. So for instance, if those were links, we could create a style for them only. Sorry, let's say we could create a class called header link and apply a specific a style to this kind of link. Then those links could be called, I don't know, content link, for instance, and you could create a style for this content link only. It's pretty powerful. The final part of this tutorial will be to center the wireframe in the page. But you won't be able to see that in Axure. But however, if you click on the prototype button, and if you generate the prototype, you notice that the wireframe is not centered. And it's even more obvious if you hide the left column of the page, of the wireframe. Here you can see that the wireframe is not centered in the browser. To do that, it's very simple. Go back to Axure, and in the page formatting tab in the lower part of your UI, you notice this button, page align, and click on that icon here. It's gonna center the wireframe. So if you click on prototype now, and if you remove the left bar again, you notice that now the wireframe is centered. And that's it for the first chapter of the Total Wireframe tutorial series. Thanks a lot for buying this guide, and I hope it has been very useful to you. I've enjoyed a lot to do that screencast, and I hope to see you soon.